Line trimmers are fantastic tools for keeping your lawn and garden edges in great nick all year round, but they do require a little bit of know-how to get the most out of them. In this video, we're going to cover off all the key points you'll need to know about the various line feed systems, troubleshooting, and any tips that will help you get the most out of your trimming line. The first thing to ensure is that your line trimmer is assembled correctly, especially the guard in particular, because this performs several key functions. The first and obvious one is providing protection, not only to the user, but to bystanders, pets, windows, even cars. The guard is also important in managing the correct length of the trimming line, making sure it's maintained with the aid of this cutter here. If the guard isn't fitted, that means the line will feed out uncontrolled. Now this will not only prevent the line trimmer from working correctly, it could also damage the motor over time. To ensure you've fitted the guard correctly, just refer to your operator's manual. If you've lost this, no probs, just jump on the Ryobi website. So how is your trimming line fed out? Well, that'll depend on the type of model you have, as there are 3 different types of spools that you can get. You can have a manual feed, you can have a bump feed, and you can also have some form of automatic feed. Manual feed heads, like this Pro Cut 2 here, use pre-cut lengths of line that you just replace once the line is worn down. Just like that. A very important part of installing line in a Pro Cut 2 is to make sure that when you're pushing the line into the unit, that you have enough going through the other side. The reason for that is the line only feeds in one direction. And if you don't feed it through enough, you won't be able to pull it out to replace it when you need to. Bump feed systems feed line out each time you bump it on the ground while it's spinning. The cutter on the guard trims the line at exactly the right length. And remember, if you want these heads to last, it's bump and go, not smash and go. Now to feed the line out with auto feed heads, you need to release the trigger first and allow the motor to slow down, almost to a stop. Then squeeze the trigger again, which will release a preset length of line. Not using the right size line will often prevent the feed system from working correctly, if at all. And using incorrect line, especially a thicker one, will put extra strain on the motor, which will permanently damage it over time. So how do you know which size line is right for your trimmer? Well, if it's not on the unit, like this one, it'll be in your owner's manual. So why would anyone want to go to a thicker line anyway? Well, it's generally because their current line is breaking too often or they're going through too much of it. And we now know that going to a thicker line can cause issues with the motor. So now I'm going to give you some great tips to get the most out of your trimming line. The last 10 to 15 mil of the trimming line does all the cutting. So it's very important that you always run your line trimmer at full speed. Otherwise, any slower and the line will wear below the tip and break off. If you're working in too close to hard edges like rocks and concrete, this will wear the line down very quickly. And if you're too close, this will bend the line, causing it to break. So, a good tip is to always start further out from the trimming area and slowly work your way in, so only the tip of the line is cutting where you want it to. Learning how to use your line trimmer correctly does take some practice, but once you know how, you'll go through less line, have less of those breakages, and best of all, you'll end up with much neater edges. And proper technique will make this last a lot longer in your cordless models. Now, if you're struggling with the trimming line, you can take the trimming line out of some of our 18-volt units and put in our little cutter head. This means you don't have to worry about line anymore. And for more how-to videos and tips and tricks, visit myryobi.com.au.
Ryobi, a cut above.